Well, you mentioned a couple times about a sales engine. Walk me through what would be a perfect sales engine.
Yeah, I think that varies very much by company, by strategy, by goals and objectives that they're trying to accomplish and what they need there. But I guess if I had to just break out some top level components that go into that, I think that I would be probably first starting and making sure that my net that I'm covering at the very top end is covering some ground. Like when people go to people know of me, how comfortable am I that people know of me somewhere along the way? And that can be done through a variety of ways. But do you have a means that people know about you?
And is that a constant thing that's going on? I'm constantly letting the market know I'm here and I'm introducing them. Is that a continual thing?
It is. And I think that you have to evaluate that on two fronts. You have to make sure that you're getting out there in front of people that are unknown to date. You know, people that are not in your database right now, that you have no idea who they are. You have to make sure you're getting out in front of them. But I think probably where a big miss is I'll talk with tons of companies that have a database of 100,000 accounts or 100,000 contacts inside of there, or even 20,000. But they're focused on generating anonymous people to come to their website when they have decision makers queued up, teed up, sitting inside of this database, but they don't want to focus their time there. These are the accounts that they want to go after. These are with the people they already know, but all their attention's on turning anonymous into someone to come to their website and fill out their form that they didn't already have figured out. And so I think there's a big miss inside of that. I already know who they are, but how do I figure out how to keep moving them along the process? And so I feel like you need a strategy to be able to do that. And I feel like it comes in a variety of forms. And, getting out in front of them with emails, one-to-many emails, and that's not new. Sending out one-to-many, that's a thing that's been in existence for a long time. But I think it's important to note, don't confuse sending out a monthly newsletter with effective email marketing strategies. I think there needs to be a lot more strategy to what you're actually trying to do. Are you sending out an email to your entire database? If so, how personalized is that email? Like how much are you hitting somebody as compared to taking that database, having some things that you know about them and actually putting together some various segments of emails that are going out that speak much more. Pretty targeted. How much more impactful is that going to be? And then how do you take that 20,000 database that you have or whatever the case is and actually pick who's reaching out to these people with one-to-one? Which people here do I want to actually put a call into from a person? Which of these people here do I actually want to try to get in front of? Will give me some time to see if I can come out and have a meeting with them. I mean, in almost all of the customers that we have, they have a handful to quite a few very specific target accounts that they know they could service very well, but they just can't figure out how to bust down the door. Well, putting them on Google and putting a search out that may not be the way that you're going to drive them in. You may need to get a much more specific approach to get out in front of them. And that may not necessarily be your reps doing that. It may be a 6-month, 9-month continuous process of
just keeping your name
in front of them and building a rapport. And so what kind of model do you have to go after those types of people? While this is capturing anonymous.
Well, that's interesting because, getting back to where you kicked this off half hour ago is the strategy. If I want to go after these target accounts, my strategy might need to be 12, 18, 24, 36 months. It may never end, right? Because if it was easy, then I would just go get them. So what I'm hearing from you saying is I got to have a strategy that's going after these accounts regularly. And just because they don't land in 3 months or 6 months doesn't mean my strategy isn't working. It just might be a long-term strategy. And then I think it gets back to what you were saying, your engine. That's what you have an engine for. It's to do that.
Yep. And I think that you want to be at peace with the fact that those target accounts that you're going after, you're all over. you want to be at peace with that. I think that should be something that should be very important.
If they're target, then give it your best foot.
Yeah, you want to make sure you have all of your bullets that you feel like would resonate to them over to them. Don't, and not always the case, but I feel like in many cases, just like, Bob, you are responsible for that account. Go get it. And what ends up happening is Bob goes out, tries to meet with them, even maybe has a meeting with them. Nothing happens. No more goes into that account. And that's the last that was touched. It was touched a long time ago. I feel like that's really where marketing and sales dev can fill that void, is to be able to continuously stay in front of them.
That's the engine.
Nonstop.
If that's happening, because there's no engine.
Yep.
There's no engine.
Yep.
Well, you hit on a couple things. One, you said, hey, you got to have a strategy of where I'm going. You said, hey, I got to have something going on all the time that I'm keeping a market presence, a market awareness. I'm trying to attract new people, just that they're familiar with me. You said, hey, that's one thing that would go into this engine. The other thing you said was, once I start getting some people who are aware of me, how do I stay in front of them? That's another part of the engine. Then you said, hey, if you got these target customers, which everybody does, right? They all have those A accounts that they want to go after, all right, or the B accounts. What's my strategy to go after them? I got to build that into the engine. I got to stay on top of that. So you've already broken out about 3 areas that this engine has to be covering.
And what allows for all of that to happen is your systems set up to be geared to allow for you to do that. You have to have your system set up to be able to do that, or else you're here's a story. With all of this coronavirus stuff going on, our CRM group has just been going bonkers right now because everyone's coming back. They got all these reps that are working remote, and the companies have they said, hey, go sell some stuff from your house. And we work in a lot of, I would say, some older school industries, in a lot of cases, manufacturing, industrial equipment, supply chain, logistics, and a lot of that stuff's been, it wasn't technology, we'll put it that way. People are going out, meeting with people face to face, having conversations, walking into a facility. And now these guys have been tasked to start calling people up and selling, which is a completely different strategy than they've ever had before on how to actually go sell. And so now they're coming back and they're telling their sales managers, well, who should I call? And what's been fascinating is the sales, because they're used to going and touring their territory, and they know where the spots are inside of there that they can jump in. And, we got sales managers and marketing managers coming back to us and saying, our guys need to figure out how to actually build a calling list inside of their CRM. They need to know who even to go after. We need to help them figure out how to segment their data. And what's been fascinating is all that data and everything, it's in a lot of cases, it's sitting inside of their CRM. It's there. In many cases, we had a client that has this come up. We've been working with them for 9-10 years. We've built this database, very robust database for them with decision makers and key intel. But I think it was an interesting observation for us to be able to sit back and say, just because you have all of the data, just because your CRM is seemingly tight and buttoned up, you have to make sure that your reps know how to actually leverage that tool for them to be able to go after, and that the information that they're giving back to you is what you can then use from marketing, from sales development to keep this engine working for them. I think there's a disconnect right there. Sales wants to be the end of it. They want to get it and be the end of it. They'll determine whether it's good or bad and then end. When really I think what they need to be looking at is saying, I need to determine what I can gather with my conversation that I have to get back over into the engine for more sophisticated touching along the way, because they will touch them better than I ever could at scale.